Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, guys. My name is Angastia Avicena. I am from Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta. I will present about the bad effect of eating instant noodle for health. Before I explain about the material that I will present today, I will explain why I chose this topic to discuss. I chose this topic because many people ignore the consequence of eating instant noodles every day. There are still many people among students like me who still ignore how dangerous it is to consume instant noodles. Sometimes they already know the effects of eating instant noodles, but because it tastes good and easy to make, so they keep eating instant noodle. I will explain in more detail the effect of eating instant noodle in excess. That is my reason why I chose this topic. Now I will explain the outline that I will present today. The first is, what is instant noodle? Before I talk about the danger of instant noodle, we must first know that instant noodle are. The second is, why instant noodle are not good for health. The third is, the impact caused by the frequency of eating instant noodle. And the last is, the healthiest way to choose instant noodle. Before we get into the discussion why instant noodles are dangerous, I will explain that instant noodles are. Instant noodles are type of pre-cooked noodle, usually sold in individual packets or cups and bowls. Typical ingredients in the noodles include flour, salt, and palm oil. The flour package can generally contain salt, seasoning, and monosodium glutamate (MSG). Indonesian people use to call it mecin. After the noodles have been made in the factory, they are steamed, dried, and packaged. Each package contains a block of dry noodle as well as a package of flouring and or oil for seasoning. Buyers cook or soak the block of noodles in hot water with the flouring before eating it. After knowing what is instant noodle, I will explain to the next part, that is why instant noodles are not good for health. The reason why instant noodles are not good for health is because instant noodle contains of MSG. Instant noodle can increase the risk of heart and other cardiovascular and metabolic disease. Instant noodle doesn't digest quickly enough and is even linked to cancer. Instant noodles are high at salt. After this, I will explain the most important part of this presentation, namely the impact caused by the frequency of eating instant noodle. From the previous slide, also explained the content of contained in instant noodle. There are many extensive content in instant noodle. Now I will explain more thoroughly the effect of eating instant noodle. Instant noodle can increase the risk of heart disease. In a study published in the Journal of Nutrition, it was found that women who consume more instant noodle had significantly greater risks of metabolic syndrome than those who ate less, regardless of overall diet exercise habits. With those who ate instant noodle more than twice a week being 68% more likely to have metabolic syndrome. Now, for those who are not sure on what metabolic syndrome is, it is a group of symptoms such as central obesity, elevated blood pressure, low level of HDL cholesterol, which increase someone's chance of containing heart disease, diabetes, or having a stroke. The intake of instant noodle could be linked to poor diet quality. While the instant noodle consumer did have an increased intake of few select nutrients, they had a significantly decreased intake of protein, calcium, vitamin C, phosphorus, iron, niacin, and vitamin A. Instant noodle can cause cancer. Another danger of instant noodle is that it can interfere with blood sugar level and insulin release if it gets too quickly. While TBHQ, BHA, MSG, and too many preventives in instant noodle have cancer-causing effects. You should also avoid eating instant noodle contents styrofoam because with a variety of chemical and other dangerous additives, the cancer will come. And finally, instant noodle can also cause high blood pressure. Instant noodles are food that have very high salt content, which, which will be dangerous if you eat them too often. While in general, a person's blood pressure is normally around 90 50 mmHg to 120 80 mmHg. But the harmful chemical in instant noodle will trigger high blood pressure in your body. If you already have high blood pressure, it is most likely that blood vessels can be damaged and the heart weak. So you should keep instant noodle from your food menu, even if you have to consume it to make it healthier. Add vegetables or egg when cooking it. Now I will explain the healthiest way to choose instant noodle. Despite the many adverse effects of frequent eating noodles, but do not worry for your lover's noodle. Now there are ways to overcome them. If you do enjoy the occasional cup of noodle, there are ways to make it healthier. Picking instant noodle made from whole grains, for example, can increase fiber contents and boost feeling of fullness. Lower sodium instant noodles are also available and can help bring down your sodium intake for the day. The conclusion is that it's better to eat instant noodle if there are still other food. And if you really like noodle, you can still eat them, but with the right frequency. Do not eat instant noodles 2 times a week because it is very expensive. If there are any questions you want to ask, please. If no one to ask, I'll close the presentation today. Sorry if I have a wrong talk. Thank you for listening to my presentation today. Good afternoon, everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.